Okay, well thank you very much for having me today. And my goal here today is to give you guys a little bit of insight and maybe perspective, some things maybe you haven't thought about before, as to why fitness for life and being active for life is going to benefit you. So I remember in the beginning, it was 1990, I went to my first junior hockey camp, and I was 15 years old, and I weighed in at 149 pounds. And the trainer weighed us in, bumped me up to 150, said, this is going to look a lot better, but kid, you need to hit the weight room. So my first experience going into the gym in 1990, this is what I saw. I saw a group of bodybuilders seatbelted into their machines, working one muscle group at a time, looking at themselves more than anything. And the other group was a group of powerlifters in the other corner, purple face, eyes bugged out, and squatting the weight of a Volkswagen on their back. And I'm thinking, like, am I in the right place here? Like, I'm a hockey player. I want to just put on some muscle and get stronger. And I can remember lying on the hamstring curl the first day in there, struggling with all my might to curl the 10-pound plate and being really self-conscious. And so I got into the personal training industry in 1994, and things were different. The groups were still there, the bodybuilders and the powerlifters, and over time things have really changed. And the millennium was kind of, to me, the big turning point in the fitness industry. And so now things have become more sport specific, with a functional mindset underlining fun, because we do have a lot of fun, we can do some fun stuff, where we train movements rather than muscles. So here's a great example of that. We have any skiers in the room? Downhill skiers? Sure. So great preseason exercise, one of many preseason exercises for skiing. So you're hopping laterally, landing in a partial squat, conditioning the legs for downhill skiing. So very similar positioning in the knees, lateral transfer of weight, and we're going to enjoy the sport a lot more when we're more physically fit. Our legs aren't going to burn so much. We're going to have some cardiovascular endurance so we can barrel down the hill without stopping so much and just have a real higher quality experience. Golf season's fast approaching. I know it's February 1st, but we're going to start golf conditioning here in the next 3-4 weeks, get everybody prepared for April. And these movements, these are not movements that we do every day. So we've got to train these movements in the gym. And golf is a sport, train like it. So these movements we've got to get into in order to get the mobility required to have a decent golf game. Injury prevention is a huge part, and performance on the golf course as well. And again, we're going to enjoy the sport. It's going to be a lot more quality if we stay injury-free and we enjoy it. Now this one again, I'd like to just point out here quick. Do we have any cyclists in the crowd? Yeah, perfect. So again, if you look here, the positioning of the knee, positioning of the leg, real similar, right? So great exercise that transfers over from the gym onto the cycle. Again, when we're stronger, we're going to have better power output. We're going to be able to go up those hills with a lot less effort and enjoy the sport a lot more. Now, I love these two pictures. In the top left, we see the guy, I'm guessing he's in his 70s, into a deep knee squat. Now, how many of us that are a lot younger than that can't get into that position without being in a lot of pain? The other thing that's great here is he's holding a 25-pound child out in front of him. That proves that he's got a really good, healthy back and good, strong shoulders. The bottom right-hand corner, a guy, probably again, senior citizen, playing soccer with his grandson. Quality of life, quality relationships, another reason to be fit and active for life. So, great concept, right? Fit, active for life, be able to do the things you enjoy recreationally as you age. However, there are obstacles, real life obstacles. And some stories I'm going to tell you, 3 quick stories about common things that have gone on and some of the things we've been able to do to help people break past the barriers. So who here has experienced some back pain in their life? Right, just about everybody. So this scenario, Carol had a herniated disc, and you can see how it protrudes out the left-hand side there, and the nerve is pinched. This is really, really painful. And so what happens when our body does this is we tend to move ourselves into a position that alleviates a little bit of pain. But then the muscles lock up, and we're locked in this position. That's really debilitating. So when this happens to us, generally there's two outlooks on it. The type A personality is going to do whatever it takes to overcome the obstacle. They're going to regain their quality of life and be able to do the things they enjoy again. The type B personality, unfortunately, there are quite a few people out there who are going to say, well, I guess I'm getting older, I can't do the things I used to do, ho-hum, I'm going to just sit on the sidelines and watch. So the stories I'm going to tell you about personality type A's. So Carol, after going through extensive physiotherapy for 8 months, came to me upon the recommendation of strengthening core. And so we started with some easy stuff, some banded back extensions, progressed to some good mornings, exercise at the bottom. This exercise I'm going to refer to in story number 3, so just remember this good morning exercise. Then Carol got up to doing some 2-wall planks, really strong in the core, and then finally into some functional lifting. Nice straight back, good knee bend. So Carol's often asked, how come after 8 years you keep going to the gym, you keep seeing Bill? Well, why do you keep going? And Carol's story goes like this. So one day Carol had a hide bed that needed to be moved. And her husband said, well, Carol, those hide beds are pretty heavy. We better get a couple of friends over to help us move this. And she said, well, Dave, I think I can lift it by myself. And she reached down, much like in the picture, and grabbed it. Another common obstacle is osteoporosis. So who here knows of any elderly person that's fallen and broken their hip? Right, another common thing. So you can see the normal bone matrix in the left and the osteoporosis bone matrix in the picture on the right. Obviously, that osteoporosis bone does not have the strength of the normal bone. The good news is there's 2 ways we can deal with this. If you start young enough, you can prevent bone loss by lifting weights. And the way that works is skeletal muscle pulls against the bone, causing it to rebuild and become denser. So we're able to maintain bone strength. However, if we're diagnosed with low bone density, because we have not done weight-bearing exercise or weight training through the years, so as a rule of thumb, 2 workouts a week should be strength training workouts. And again, they don't have to involve a whole lot of time. 2 workouts of half an hour of weight training a week will get the job done, elevate those testosterone levels, and keep us more youthful. So why strength train twice a week? A couple reasons, there's lots, but I picked out 2. Muscle mass raises metabolism. So what that means is muscle is our greatest caloric burner in our body. So the more muscle we have, the more calories we're burning just sitting at a desk. Now, arthritis is a leading cause of disability in people over 55. So weight training has been shown to prevent muscle atrophy. So that's when our muscles shrink due to inactivity. So muscles help to keep the natural space between bones, thus preventing them from touching and allowing synovial fluid to lubricate the joint. So huge benefit to keeping those muscles strong as we age. And it definitely is the use it or lose it principle. So I do know a few people in here, obviously, that are clients and acquaintances that are exercising regularly. The big takeaway here is to mix it up, change things up, change our activity, change the weight we're using, and just really vary things, because our bodies are meant to move in all different kinds of ways at all different intensities. A great way to vary your intensity is through interval training. So you get the best bang for your buck. You're going to get your heart rate elevated because you're moving quickly in a circuit, and you're going to get that strength training, and chances are you're even going to get into that aerobic zone where your human growth hormone level is elevated. So a great way to train sometimes. The reason I say sometimes is because we're mixing it up, right? Okay. So many studies have shown that even if you don't lose a pound or really change your body, so obviously it's not realistic for everybody to look like Murray Pritchard, but even though you don't have all those great physical outcomes, inside you're going to have a whole bunch of healthful outcomes, lowering cardiovascular disease again, and staving off Alzheimer's. So find a way to sweat and don't sweat the details. So this one I thought necessary to point out, the harder you train, the more likely you are to get injured. So part of my job is actually to hold people back sometimes and make sure that they're progressing gradually, never doing more this week than they did last week. So, like I mentioned, we need all different intensities. We do need some low intensity, some moderate intensity, some high intensity. Most of our workouts are going to graduate into somewhere between moderate and high. So, this is the story I wanted to share. Why does the fit guy always seem to maintain a healthy body weight, and the overweight guy always seems to struggle? Well, this is one way that it works. So when we eat, we consume carbohydrate food. Those carbs are converted to glucose. Now our brain runs exclusively on glucose. So glucose is our body's preferential source of energy. Excess glucose is converted to glycogen and stored in our muscles and in our liver. Well, excess is stored as fat. So if we don't have enough storage for our muscle glycogen, you can see here the box, inside the box is our muscle, and this is where glycogen is stored. The bigger the box, the bigger amount of glycogen we can store before it spills over and is stored as fat. Endurance training, so all that cardio work that you're going to be doing also greatly helps that cause. So in the box on the left, we can see it's not very dense, it's capillaries and something called mitochondria. Mitochondria is a fancy name for storage tanks of glycogen within our muscles. On the box on the right, we can see how much more dense that is with all those capillaries and all of those mitochondria. We have a lot more storage tanks for that glycogen. So the guy who's fit is going to be able to store his food in his muscles for future energy output because his body knows he's going to be doing it, where the unfit guy just doesn't have this scenario. So I love this picture. We all look like this on the inside, and a lot of us have a little more padding than others. So I was just down in Phoenix at a course where we dissect cadavers, and I've done this a couple of times. And we do it to learn how our body moves, how we're all put together, and learn better ways to train people and to train ourselves. And so the interesting thing was when we did this, the light bulb kind of went on. These people were emaciated elderly people with very low levels of body fat.